This is the first episode of Sofa Chats where we dive into real estate insights and to give you a bit more hidden secrets within the real estate industry, and we give you a bit more insights on what's happening on the ground as estate agents so that you can find out what's going on and how you can benefit from them as well. Alright, so for this first episode today, we're going to discuss a bit more about preview timeline. Something that we face quite often as new launch agents, a lot of our clients, because they're unsure on how or when they should be selling the house or when they should be moving on with the timeline.
So what is preview, TJ?
So every time when we serve our clients on the ground, I think a lot of people, they are unsure on what this VIP preview process is like. So we have Denise right here to share a bit more on what the timeline is going to look like for you.
So what exactly is a VIP preview by the developers, right? So they tend to open the show flat of the new launch either on a Friday or a Saturday. The whole preview period was spent across 2 weekends. So after the first and the second weekend, on a Tuesday, that will be the cutoff. So anytime during this 11 to 12 days viewing period, you can actually visit the show flat to take a look. You get to experience the show units. If you are interested in purchasing a unit, we don't do the sale and purchase on the spot. What happens is you submit your interest with your agent. So to express your interest, you will need to submit a few things. Firstly, that will be your interest form. Second will be your IC, and then a blank check. If you don't have a blank check, it's fine. We can do a cashier order. We can do something called an EDP as well. So with these, you will then submit your interest to the developer, and that will entitle you for balloting.
Right, so do take note that each interest, you're only allowed to submit to one company. Each agency can only represent you one time so that there is no conflict of interest or there's no duplication in terms of the interest that you have submitted.
Doesn't mean you submit more means you get more chance, huh?
Yeah, that's correct. So what happens after all this interest has been collected? We'll then go through this process called a balloting process. It usually happens on a Wednesday or a Thursday. So through this balloting process, you'll be able to know your queue number and where you stand in terms of the interest. So usually for developers, what we've been seeing recently, we're looking at about 2 times subscription or 3 times subscription of a single project. So if the project has probably about 300 units, you're looking at probably about 600 interest. So typically what we'll do for our clients is once we have gotten your queue number or we understand where your queue stands, what we'll do is we'll run through the numbers with you again. We'll do a unit selection for you and we'll strategize with you accordingly to see what units make sense for you and whether it is possible for you to get the unit of your choice.
We will also do an analysis for you whether the facing makes sense, the premium that you're paying for certain stacks, are they actually worth it or not, and should you go for that unit?
So what we've been experiencing recently is for our larger format units, so our 3-bedders, 4-bedders or 5-bedders, they tend to have bookings on a Friday.
And for the rest of the single buyers purchasing just a single unit, the buying process will actually happen on Saturday. So what happens is, depending on your queue number, you will come in at different parts of the day according to your allocated time slot to select a unit.
So once the sale has been concluded on Saturday, the remaining units will then be opened up to the public on a first come first served basis. Right, so do take note that the timeline is very short. You're usually looking at about 11 to 12 days kind of timeline. So do get your check ready, do get your cashier's orders ready in time for you to place an interest, because there are some projects that are quite hot out there, and by the time you get all these documentations prepared, you might already have run out of time. So that is curious, can booking be done virtually?
Yes, you can. So there's actually 2 ways to do it. The first way is to engage a proxy. Unfortunately, agents ourselves, we can't be your proxy. So you can get a family member or a friend to actually come in and select the unit on your behalf. The second way, most developers are agreeable to that, which is via video call. So don't be shocked if you get a FaceTime or a WhatsApp call from your agent. Just pick it up. Yeah, we will guide you accordingly, and you can actually select your unit via video call. So TJ, what are some of your pro tips that you can share for buyers who have never seen the show flat before?
Right, so if you've never seen a show flat before, one thing to take note is because the timeline is so short, it's so rushed, usually what I would advise my clients to do is, if they can, to go and get an IPA first. So an IPA is an in-principle approval. It's a loan assessment given by the bank so that you can understand your budget a bit better.
The other pro tip I have is, if you don't have a checkbook, go and apply for one now, because it is helpful during the preview period. You don't have to go to the banks to get your cashier order. And for the subsequent payments, like your stamp duties and 15%, you can make use of the checkbook as well. Okay, and the third pro tip that we have for you is, if you're in a situation where you require to sell your house before you can buy a new launch, it is best to get started now, because selling the house takes time. You need a buyer to come in to make an offer, and if you need the funds from your place, the sale of your place, to go into the new launch funding, then it is advisable to start as soon as you can. Yeah, and I guess a pro tip, right, if you are visiting the show flat during the preview period, If you can, probably try to avoid the first weekend. If you can, do join us on a weekday because the experience will be much better. There will be a lesser crowd and you get to feel the space a lot better as well. And the proest of all pro tips.
If you have family members or relatives who are looking to buy a unit within the same development as well, what we've been seeing so often is people come together and they purchase more than one unit together.
Which is called our bulk purchase.
This is when you are given priority to get a unit, and if you like, probably you can have a unit next to each other as well. You got no soy sauce, you can go just borrow soy sauce from the person next door lah.
Yeah, so the benefit of bulk purchase is essentially instead of buying on Saturday where everyone else is buying, you actually come in a day before typically to actually pick a unit. And that's how we help our clients conquer the new launch preview period.
So for those who are still unsure on the processes and what to look out for, our contact information is available in the link below. So this rounds up the first episode of Sofa Talks, and we'll see you again in the next episode.
Bye!